A federal judge earlier today blocked Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, from accessing Treasury Department records that contain sensitive personal data such as social security and bank account numbers for millions of Americans. A preliminary injunction was issued after 19 Democratic attorney generals sued Donald Trump. The case, filed in federal court in New York City, alleges that the Trump administration allowed Musk's team access to Treasury Department's central payment system, and this is in violation of federal law. Well, joining us to discuss this is LBC's Washington correspondent Simon Marks. Thanks so much for joining us, Simon. How confident should we be, do you think, that this temporary block will hold?
I don't think we should be confident at all. I mean, first of all, there's the question as to whether, and clearly the Trump administration is going to appeal this ruling, whether higher courts uphold this lower court ruling or not. But secondly, there is the more immediate question of, are the Trump administration officials, including Elon Musk, and let's just remind everybody that this Department of Government Efficiency might be called a department, but it is not a government department. It hasn't been sanctioned and created by Congress, so it doesn't rise to the level of being a government department. Are its officials going to obey the rulings of these lower courts? And then you get into the weeds of this judge's particular ruling, who has said that there can be irreparable harm caused if people from this Department of Government Efficiency, and Elon Musk has brought all of these young cyber whiz kids to town whose backgrounds are very opaque. One of them quit 36 hours ago after a journalist uncovered a whole history of racist social media posts that he had made, only then to be rehired by Elon Musk 24 hours later. So the judge is buying this idea that to give these people access to all of these Treasury payment records, and frankly, even to give them access to the instruments of power within the Treasury that this payment system represents, creates the risk of irreparable harm. However, they've already accessed it. I mean, this is a judge trying to lock the stable door after the horse has bolted. He's saying that Mr. Musk and his DOGE colleagues need to delete any copies of any records that they have made. There are reports here that they will have had through this Treasury Department system access to the social security numbers. That's the equivalent of a national insurance number here, of millions of Americans. They will have records of tax refunds given to Americans. They will have been able to glean information about which Americans receive government assistance that is then paid out through this Treasury payment system. So you are now having to ask a group of cyber whiz kids who forced their way into the Treasury a week ago, Mr. Musk overruling senior Treasury officials who were then placed on administrative leave, who attempted to block him from gaining access to this payment system. Now you have to trust that Elon Musk and his whiz kids are going to adhere to this judge's ruling and delete everything that they've seen that they may have stored on other computer systems, printed out, or in any other way salted away for later use. So, and this is just one government department whose computer systems they've breached. They did exactly the same at USAID. They were trying to get into the Department of Education a few days ago to take control of that computer system there. You know, this is a judicial system that is trying to catch up to the speed with which Elon Musk and Donald Trump have acted to advance their agenda of shredding the size of the government, cutting, they say, government waste and wasteful spending programs, and ultimately, in the case of Elon Musk, engaging in state capture and securing access to government computer systems that he can then use to amass more power and aggrandize his own position and the position of his own corporations. It is a stunning situation here.
It really is. I've been listening to your reporting on this all week, Simon. And one of the things that occurred to me is you've got these militia groups that were involved in the insurrection on January the 6th, people like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. And their whole thing, particularly the Oath Keepers, is about upholding upholding the US Constitution. That's their whole reason for being. That's what they're passionate about. And then you've got Trump and Musk, who are effectively defecating all over the US Constitution. What they're doing is fundamentally unconstitutional. And yet Trump was the person that pardoned them and the reason that many of them are out of prison. Is there any scenario in which he loses their support?
Well, there is a Venn diagram here, though, because when people say they're passionate about the US Constitution, there are varying interpretations that they can offer as to which sort of version of the US Constitution they're passionate about. And a lot of those militia members and participants in the January the 6th, 2021 uprising on Capitol Hill will argue that they are constitutional originalists, that they believe that the document as written is unchangeable, should not be interpreted by anybody, and is basically in black and white, even though it was written in 1776, the law of the land in 2025. So they would not necessarily see themselves as being at total odds with the things that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing. And indeed, their presence in society again worries many of Donald Trump's critics, who fear that they are a kind of a turnkey militia that he could call upon if he needed, should the situation here become even less stable than it currently is. I mean, I think the crossroads that we are already at, and it's absolutely incredible to be saying this 3 weeks after the inauguration. I mean, I thought we might get there, 6 to 9 months after the inauguration. But 3 weeks into this, the crossroads we are at is a question of whether the rule of law in this country is going to hold. Are the Trump administration insiders going to obey and respect and adhere to legal rulings, or are they going to trample all over them? We've seen others. There's one judge that has said you've got to stop shutting down the US Agency for International Development, USAID. You can't fire the 10,000 staff that work for it. You can't order all of those staff all over the world that you have just ordered to fly home. You can't order them to board planes. You need to reverse all of that. Are they going to do it? They removed the lettering, the signage from the USAID headquarters in the Ronald Reagan building on Friday afternoon. So you drive past it now and there's no sign that it was ever the headquarters of the world's leading agency for humanitarian and developmental assistance around the world. They're trying to create facts on the ground in that case that suggest, well, USAID is too late. We've gutted it. It's finished. We've cleared the offices. Everybody's been laid off. They've all been brought home. Forget about it. And a court ruling that is saying, no, you can't do that. So where do we go? Where are we going to be 3 weeks from tonight?